Hello everyone, this is Vishwas and welcome to our YouTube channel Frontend Devs. In today's video, we will discuss three most important and confusing JavaScript methods, and those are call, apply, and bind. These methods are almost asked in every front-end interview, and most of the people are struggle to answer it. People or the developer remember its definition and some example, but don't understand its actual purpose. In today's video, we will understand all the details, and by end of this video, you have clear understanding around these methods. Call, apply, bind. These three methods are present on function prototype. That will allow all the function can use this method, and these methods are very useful in two scenarios. The first one is method borrowing, and the second one, it will give control over this keyword. And these are two main reason we are using call, apply, and bind. Understanding method borrowing is very simple. Each object is having its own properties and methods. Here we have two objects, that is person 1 and person 2, and both the objects having their own properties and methods. And in JavaScript, we can do interesting things. Sometimes object 1 is having some useful method and object 2 want to use it. Or we can have a standalone function and that is shared by multiple object. And this is achieved by using call, apply, and bind. Without call, apply, bind, you cannot reuse the standalone function or any method from another object. And this is method borrowing. Either sharing the standalone function by multiple objects, or we can borrow the method from one object to another object. Now let's move to the VS Code and we will understand this with the help of simple implementation. In VS Code, let me start with creating the first object. It could be a person 1 and this object having two properties. The first one is first name, then it will be a Vishwas, and then we have next property, that is last name. It could be Bote. Then I will add one function here. It will be get name. It is a function and it will simply return first name plus last name. We will use this here because when we want to access the first name and last name, we need to use the this, and this will refers to person 1 object. That means this dot first name, and then we will use the concatenation, and then we have this dot last name. And now we will call this method, right? We need to use the person object, and then we have a get name method. And we will simply do the console.log here. It should return me the full name of the person. Let me go to the Chrome and we will see it is returning the full name of the person. Now let me create another object. The object could be exact similar. We will go with the person 2 object here, and this object contain two properties. Again, the first name Vinay here, and then last name could be anything. Let me go with test. And now we also want to print this name. And simply what we can do, we will add method again here, right? It could be a get name method, and we have similar things here. Same way we can do the console.log, and now it will be person2, right? When we do the person2.getName and save the changes and go to the browser, for person 1 we have Vishwas Bote, and for person 2 we have Vinay test. But if you observe carefully, we are repeating our code here. Both methods are doing the same work, and that is used in both the object. And what we can do here, like instead of creating the same method in object 2, we can borrow this method from first object. And borrowing the method is very simple. We can achieve this by using call, apply, or bind method. And as we know, this call apply bind method will work on function. That means we have a function here, then we can use the call apply or bind method, and then it will take multiple arguments. And the first argument will be the object on which we are executing this method. It is something like object, and then we can pass the arguments comma separated. It could be a arg1, arg2, and so on. Now we have person1 object, and from person1 object we need to use the getName method. I will use the person1 object here, and we have a getName method. That means we got our function, then we will use the call method here. We want to use this method on person2 object. And that's all. We will do this thing, and instead of printing the person2 dot getName, we will use this person1 method, and we are borrowing in object 2. Let's save the changes, and if you go to the browser, we will see the similar result. And this is how we can borrow the method from one object to another object and reuse the logic when we are using such generic method, right? This is the getName method, and instead of adding this method into any object, right, we are using that method as a standalone method, right? Simple. We have a function, and that function will be getName, and then we are having the return here. Let's save the changes, and now instead of using the person1 dot getName, we need to use the getName method, right? This will be my getName method, then I will use the call method, and then we have object here. If you want to print the first name and last name for the person1, we can simply use the person1 here, and same thing we will do for the object 2. This is my person2. Let me remove this console from here. First, we have two objects, then we have a function, and then I will print those console log here. Let's save the changes, and if you go to the browser now, we have similar result here. And this is how we can use the call, apply, and bind method to borrow standalone function or method from one object to another for code reusability. And the second thing, we can pass parameters. Right now, we have a getName method, and it don't take any parameter. And I can pass the parameter here. The parameter could be age, right? So in first case, let me go with age as a 20. And in second case, let me go with age as a 30 here. And we can accept that as a parameter here. And then we can add that as well. Let me return the age as well, and the age will be my age here. Let's save the changes, and now if you go to the browser, you will see age is printed for both the member. We can use the space here, and then this age will be capital. Now you are seeing the age for person1 as a 20 and for person2 as a 30. Same way, we can add more parameters. If you want to add the state for this user, I can go with the Maharashtra, and it could be UP. Then we can access state as well. Here again, I will do the concat, and I will go with state. And in this case, let me append the state here. We will see state is added here. And we are doing this method borrowing with the help of call method. When we are using the call method, we need to pass this parameter as a comma separated value. And now we have second method, that is apply. Apply is almost similar as a call, but when we are using apply, we need to pass those arguments as a array here. In case of call, all the arguments are passed as a comma separated value, but in case of apply, those parameters we need to pass as a array. Let's save the changes. You will see the similar result here. Now, if I use apply to second method and go with comma separated parameter, then it will won't work. You are getting the error, and the error is related to array. Now we will convert this argument into the array, and it will work as expected. We will see result with the help of apply method now. And then we have a third method, that is bind, right? The bind is again similar to call or apply, but it will work little bit differently. it will return the function bind with this particular object. Things are simple. Let me go with the const, and then we can use the function here. We can use the our standalone function. Get name will be my function. We will use the bind method here, and then we can pass our object. This is person 1 or person 2. This bind method will return us the function here. When I do the console.log and try to print the fun here, you will see it will be the function that is written by bind method, and it will bind our person1 object. If you save the changes and go to the browser, you will see we have a get name function here, and this is my standalone function. And now if I execute this function with the required parameters, right? We need to pass the parameter here. We have the person1. Suppose I'm going with age as a 40 now. We are going with state as a Maharashtra again. It will print the required result. We are executing this bind method on person1, and it's having the first name as a Vishwas, then last name as a Bothe, and age is we are using 40 here, and the state will be Maharashtra. One more thing, we can pass those arguments here as well. And this is how we can do the method borrowing. Either we can use the standalone function, or we can borrow the method from one object to another. And that is achieved by using call, apply, and bind. Hope you are clear with method borrowing. And then this method will give control over this keyword. We are using this dot first name here, and whatever object we are passing to these methods, right? This will refers to that particular object. If you go with the call and apply, those are mainly used for method borrowing, and that is depend on arguments we are using. If we are using arguments as a comma separated, we are going with the call method. But if we have arguments as an array, then we are going with apply method. And then we can have some meaningful examples, right? Consider we want to show the max number from list of elements. And how we can do that? Like we have the console.log, and then we will use we have math.max, and we can pass those number here. It could be a 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 23, and 4. Let's save the changes, and now if you go to the browser, you will see we are getting 23. And this is simple. But if we have these numbers as an array, then we cannot use math.max on array, right? If you go to the browser, we are getting the result as a NaN. And in this case, we can use the apply method. We have math.max, and if I use apply method here, we can pass argument as a array here. And then we don't have any object, we are passing it as a null. If you save these changes and go to the browser, we are getting 23. Yeah, same way, like consider I have one method. We can have the function, and then we will call this data method. It is data, and we can pass some arguments to it, right? And if I do console.dir here, and then I will print arguments. We have arguments keyword in the function, and that will give me array of all the arguments, right? If I save the changes and go to the browser, you will see we have 5 arguments here. Those are as an array. But if you look at here, we open the prototype, and if you go to the details, we are not getting all the array methods here. Even this is kind of array, but those are not available here. And in this case, we can use apply method. Yeah, on these arguments, like I will use array.prototype, and in that array.prototype, we can go with the slice method. And on slice, we will use the apply method, and that method will be used on arguments. Let's save the changes. And if you go to the browser now, we will see we have array here. But now, if you go to the prototype, you will see all the required array methods, right? That way, like we are converting these arguments into appropriate array. And this is how we can use the apply method in real use case. And then we have bind method, right? We can use the bind method for method borrowing, or It is used in more real use cases. Like in JavaScript, this keyword is behave very differently, right? How exactly the function is called, based on that value of this keyword is decided. And in some cases, like this is giving the different value or false value, or if you want to control the value of this keyword for future use, then we can use the bind method. And we will understand that with very simple example. Let me go with object itself. Like we will go with only one object here, and then we will use the get method here. It will be a function, and then we will just use the console.log here. Console.log, and then I will do person one dot get name, right? And if I pass some values here, it could be a 30 and then Maharashtra. And if we save the changes, we will see it is working as expected. But now let me work little bit differently. Consider we are just printing these two values and we are not passing anything here. What I'm doing, I'm just storing this get name in some variable. Like we have const fn, and then we are storing this get name. And if I call this function now, right, fn, you will see this keyword is working very differently. Let me remove this age and state. And then if we are calling this function, we will get undefined. Now this is not working as expected here, and we can fix this issue by using bind. We can simply do get username, and we will do bind here, and then we can pass the person one as a object. Let's save the changes, and now if you go to the browser, we are getting expected result. And this way we can store the value of this for future use. Similar way, we are using bind in our React class components, right? Same way, like we are doing the method binding, and then we can control the value of this for future use. Hope you remember that if you are working with React class-based components. Hope you are clear with all the details. Thank you for watching, and see you in next one. Till now, thank you. Bye.